cards are dealt, my friend. My sleeves are rolled up. There's nothing left to say but to do just what it takes. It's just a matter of time, and while the world keeps turning, I fight a battle inside, deep beneath the surface, just like a beat that don't stop. One more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. The fortune that I seek is not within my reach. Oh, I won't give it up. I won't give it. I won't give it up. Time's up. We're too far down that road. The windows rolled up. Drive so fast, can't see them in our mirrors now. Wait until they figure out, yeah. The more I see, the more I'm letting go. 'Cause it may be what's out of my control lights a fire in my soul, yeah. One more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. The fortune that I seek is now within my reach. Oh, I won't give it up. I won't give it. I won't give it up. One more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. Oh, one more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. The fortune that I seek is now within my reach. Oh, I won't give it up. I won't give it up. I won't, yeah.
times they come around. Can't let them bring you down. 'Cause you're either living life or letting it pass by.
Tonight on Countdown to Green, we take a look back at the action from Naval Base Coronado. The crew previews tonight's date with Miles the Monster. And we catch up with the new driver of the Junior Motorsports 88. All of that and more coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the virtual Monster Mile Dover Motor Speedway for the next round of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. This is the Countdown to Green. That is Miles the Monster, and man, are we happy to be here with you tonight. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Alan Cavana, happy to be here talking about Dover Motor Speedway in the next round of the Champ Series tonight, joined by two of the best in the business, the man behind the wheel, Ryan Vargas. How are you, Ryan?
Man, I'm excited. It's the Monster Mile, baby. This place is always exciting, and I'm excited to see these professionals take it on and see what we can see who's going to come out on top and really tame the beast.
Yeah, and joining us tonight, Josh Lee. Josh, great to have you. This place can bite you very quickly. That's why it's exciting for all of us.
And it seems like there's always a strategy element, too, when it comes to these eNASCAR races at the Dover Motor Speedway. Always a caution when you least expect it. Last year, we had a long run to the checkered flag. I'm wondering if we're going to see some of that same thing tonight, really just throwing a wrench in a lot of these drivers' plans.
Yeah, and this is race 4 of the championship series. So, Ryan, let's get right into it. There are many point standings we need to look at when it comes to chasing that championship and the ultimate prize. Let's start. Segment 1 is over. We are in segment 2.
Absolutely, but before we can do that, we got to recap Naval Base Coronado, and man, we kick it off with the sprint race. Fairly clean start here, right? Everybody filing into the corners, 5-4 wide, shuffling to single file. Everyone gets there fairly clean, except for, oh man, poor Christopher Hill. And this is not the last we're going to see of him tonight, unfortunately. Just tough luck there. Gets stacked up, but Josh, this sprint race came down to the wire. We saw Bobby Z kind of work his way back up through the field there. I know there was some inverts there, and right there, Garrett Mans gets turned, but it was all Bobby Z in the sprint.
And that invert put Bobby Z in the middle of that top 10, and he was able to drive his way back to the front in typical Bobby Z fashion. Here for the feature, he started on the pole, he was out front, he got away to a really good lead, and we didn't see some calamity further back. That's that very tight first sector at Naval Base Coronado. More issues for the RFK 17, that's Sean Conklin getting into Connor Urashak, but it was all Bobby Z up in front with some battles further back, Alan, but Bobby Z is commanding on these road courses, and a brand new road course, street circuit as well. My pick was Bobby Z, and I think that was a lot of people's picks at home too.
Yeah, we saw some good battle here with Parker White. Parker White had a great car throughout the night, but it was Bobby Z able to get by, and Parker White just making one little mistake. He kisses that tire barrier. Yeah, that's all it took to really end the race here, but the battles were not over, Ryan. This was awesome.
Absolutely. You see these guys really laying the fenders to each other, but it was all Bobby Z in the end. But there was a little bit of frustrations there between Tucker Minter and Vicente Salas. We heard from both of them, and I think they just really spent the whole time blaming each other. Let's just put it that way. But now, let's get a look at these standings here. This is how segment 1 wrapped up. Steven Wilson got the win. That is a 5 playoff points bonus right there. And he leaves with 3,000 clams. So that's a really big payday right there. Really good bragging rights too. But those playoff points are going to pay dividends once we get into the playoff standings, which we're going to take a look at here in just a moment. And if you're going to see right here, Bobby Z and Steven Wilson, they're at the top of the sheet there, but they're actually tied. And that is because despite Bobby Z's 2 wins to Steven Wilson's 1, that 5 playoff point bonus that Steven Wilson got means that they'd be tied. So that is a really big deal if they were to go into playoffs today. Vicente Salas sitting in 3rd, Zach Novak 4th, but that cutoff line, Christopher Hill had all that bad luck. He still holds on to the final playoff spot but he is tied with Daniel Fogingham. It is getting tight right there, Josh, but I know we got some other standings to check out.
The team standings is also looking pretty tight in that top 10 and that top 5. Ryan Spire Motorsports pulling away. Obviously, Femi Olot and Bosun. Steven Wilson with 2 great seasons so far. Wilson with a win. Nothing but top 5s the entire start to the year. Then you get into that tight top 5. William Byron Esports with Christopher Money Hill, with Tucker Minter. Minter having an amazing season so far as well. Hasn't gotten into victory lane, but he's always running up front. And then one of the other drivers that has gotten to victory lane twice so far this season, Bobby Selensky, running for ERA Esports with Michael Cozy Jr., his teammate. That's the top 3 right now, but take a look down. Kanan Esports at 143, Kansas City Pioneers at 140, Junior Motorsports JRM 137, and you go all the way down into the edge of the top 10, and it is a very, very close spread down to RFK Racing at the edge of that top 10 for the team standings. We're keeping an eye on that same time as these rookie standings, with Sean Conklin leading the way. Just mentioned RFK. He's in the top 15 in points when it comes for Sean Conklin as well. How about Sebastian Marin? He's having a bit of a rocky start in the regular season points for the season. He really had a great run in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series, and now sits within that top 5 of the rookie standings. Alan, I'm looking forward to seeing how the tide shifts for Sebastian Marin. How does he get better with time in these cars?
Certainly had those checkered flags in the qualifying series. We got to see what he brings here. A stellar rookie class for the Champ Series this year, but we're going to learn more about a veteran in a new place. Malik Ray, now with Junior Motorsports, not having the start of the season that he wants so far, but let's learn more about the driver from South Carolina.
Man, I have a backbone. I know a lot of these guys don't, but I mean, like, like I don't just let people just walk over me. I know there's 40 of us, and I'd say only like 3 of us stream, me and Casey and Cozy. So like, you know, like it provides another, I'd say, alternative to watching the broadcast, because you get to see like our actual onboards and like if we're like, you know, like upset or stuff like in real time. I pay attention a lot to, I would say, how Steven drives and how Casey drives. Especially Casey, I'll go back and I'll watch like his VODs like from the previous year, and I'll like pay attention to his lines and what line was like, you know, like which line was fast, which line, you know, like it died out, like stuff like that. Jordy and probably Steven and Casey. Steven and Casey, just because I see like how much time and effort they put in, and then I see like, you know, like how they'll win the championship and stuff. So like, you know, it pays off for them. And Jordy, just because I talk to him every day. So like he'll tell me like, hey bro, you need to practice and do this and do that. And I know that I need to, so you know, like I'm doing it and stuff like that. The series is very random. You can try to pit at the right time, and then a caution might come out in the middle of pit stops, and then like if you decided to stay out, then it would benefit you, versus even though like if it made sense. Okay, like for example, if the race is 100 laps and you can go 65 laps on gas, if you pit at halfway, that's the optimal lap. But if a caution comes out on lap 55, you're still trapped a lap down, and everybody else that stayed out, they're now like, you know, like in the top 5 or leading the race or top 10, and you're stuck a lap down, and you only have 40 laps to get that lap back. And then at that point, the race is pretty much, it's over for you. I had a top 5 at Las Vegas, and my teammates were 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And because I didn't feel like finishing 5th, I stayed out instead of pitting. And I think I was like 2 laps short on gas, and then I had to pit. And then I finished like 33rd. If I had pitted with all my teammates, I would have finished 5th. Drive at your own pace. Like, I think like everyone is so focused on trying to be like the fastest car on track that like if they see someone in front of them pulling away, they'll start like trying to drive harder and match their pace. And then in return, if you don't have the same skill set of that driver, all you're gonna do is just burn your stuff up. Where it's like, you know, the guy that's in front of you, he's just gonna keep pulling away because he just, you know, he has that skill set. And you're just like, instead of you finishing 7th, I would say like you end up in 13th or 14th because you drove your stuff off because you're trying to keep up with someone that's just, you know what I'm saying? Like you just don't have the skill set for it yet.
We know he's got the skills, but just not the luck so far this year, Josh. He's a veteran in the series.
And talk about pressure. He's running for a historic organization, Junior Motorsports, a championship organization in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. He's teammates with Zach Novak, and he's in the famous number 88, Ryan. That is a lot of pressure on a driver in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series.
It's a lot of pressure, but it's not a lot of pressure if you're a guy like Malik Ray, right? He's already one of the most popular drivers in the series with his huge following on Twitch and on socials. And I mean, look, there's no better fit for a popular sim racing driver to drive one of the most popular numbers in racing in general. So to me, it's a perfect fit. So glad to see Malik Ray kind of end up at a new place at Junior Motorsports, and excited to see what he does for the rest of the season.
Yeah, plenty of time to turn it around. We'll see what he does tonight. Hey, let's get back to one of our favorite segments for the first time this year. We want to see some of those rigs that you all are racing on the series. Yeah, it's back. Let's take a look because, man, we have just the best racers out there. Look at this, Carlos Caballero. What do you say, guys? Ryan, look at this. I mean, there's a fish tank. I think that's a 4-in-1 print center maybe right there. I don't know what that is. That's awesome.
I like it. It's an intricate setup, but at the same time, it's also got the simplicity of, he's got the office chair, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of proves that you don't need this fancy sim rig. You could just pull up a desk chair and get your sim set up and go racing.
Next one up, Andrew Hamilton. This is beautiful, Josh. We got the die-cast Chase Elliott fan, the room where it's happening.
Yeah, Ryan, we transition to the fancy part. He's got the Dale Earnhardt Jr. memorabilia. He's got the Chase Elliott memorabilia. I'm a personal big fan of the NASCAR rim that he's got there, the red Sparco seat, and a fan of the ultra-wide monitor instead of the triples.
Absolutely. I'm a big ultra-wide guy, and speaking of ultra-wide, this is an ultra-wide. This is a triple monitor, but wow, what a FOV this guy has. Really good setup here. You got to see, it's even got the actuators at the bottom, so he's got motion on this, and then you got the nice die-cast setup back there. I see the Jasper box on the top of that, so a nice little homage to some of the really cool schemes of the past.
Nice.
Big fan of the motion rig, but Alan, this is a complete departure from that, and this is what we talk about. It can be simple. Just get up and go racing. He's got a older wheel now. Looks like one of the older Logitech wheels. I will recognize those pedals from 8 miles away, those classic Logitech pedals, but just a TV screen mounted to the wall, mounted to the PC, and then he's got a simple wheel stand for the wheel and pedals. This is perfect in my opinion. Don't need all the fancy stuff. Just pick up a wheel, grab some pedals, and go racing.
Oh, that's a stud finder. Yeah, I see you, John.
You don't need all that fancy stuff. Heck, I have my monitor's on a coffee table, but these guys do not have their monitors on a coffee table. In fact, Doug, he's got 2 rigs in here. So whether he's racing with a family member or a friend or a significant other, he's got set up here to kind of go head to head, which you don't see often. I like in the background, he's also got prints of all the iRacing special events. So that's really cool just to see the commitment to sim racing and how invested these guys get to the iRacing platform.
I love it. I love it because you can do the heavy investment, or you just need a wheel and a desk mount, and you can get on there, join the service, and race with us and all your friends. It's really cool to be able to do it. So let's get to tonight. We're heading to Dover. We're going to hit you with the track analysis. Hey guys, Quentin Moorman on the pole alongside Bobby Z, having a heck of a year. Ryan, tell us about this track.
Absolutely. We're headed to the Monster Mile, Dover Motor Speedway in Dover, Delaware. This track is 1 mile in length, or 1.61 kilometers for those across the pond. This place has 24 degrees in the banking. That is massive banking, but the straights have a whopping 9 degrees. And I promise you, you feel that. You feel like you're almost having to turn to the right to go straight. So it's a very unique track. This place opened in 1969, and the last winner here was Vicente Salas. So look for him to do some charging through the field.
Beautiful track, Josh. They say this place drops like 3 stories from top to bottom. Can you feel that if you are one of our sim racers tonight?
Drivers describe it as a roller coaster. They do in the real world. They do here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. And guys, I mentioned it at the top. This race always seems to have curveballs thrown at these drivers. I think we're going to see a very similar thing tonight. Everybody tuning in at home.
Brian, things happen quick here. Why?
I mean, well, there's nowhere to hide, right? This place is 1 mile long, but the walls are right there, and the banking, it's self-cleaning. So if there's an incident way up at the top of the track and you're coming up to it, man, good luck on guessing that. You might as well hit the lottery on that one.
Oh, looking forward to it. Who hits the lottery tonight at the Monster Mile? We're going to find out. It's round 4 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. We're going green right after this.
Every journey toward racing excellence begins the same way, with preparation. Practice is about consistency, with the same attention to detail. Today, the gap between the garage and the living room has never been smaller. Because mastery isn't about where you start, it's about where you train. Whether you're chasing trophies or lap times, the road to racing excellence starts with the same tools. Feel the road, own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals, available now on Amazon.
Gonna have his 4th straight multi-race win season. Zelensky wins at the Qualcomm circuit.
Every single moment, caught up in the motion. Got no use for caution. Hope you're ready for a fight. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeat it. Show up complete and repeat it. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeat it. Show up complete and repeat it. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end.
The road to $500,000 speeds through the first state and to iRacing's virtual Dover Motor Speedway, where we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 4 of the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. We are through the first segment of 3 on this shorter than ever regular season on this 2026 campaign. So tonight, a new segment begins with more opportunities for cash and playoff bonus points. We get right back into it after a historic first in San Diego a week ago. We come back to a place that we have been to now 13 times here at the Monster Mile. And Alan Cavana and Kenneth Bueno, we all know that this racetrack can bring a little bit of chaos and some unexpected results. These drivers are familiar, though, with the foe that they will fight with here tonight, KB.
Yeah, but with every single edition of racing here at Dover, it's still unpredictable. The drivers know that anytime this race could change, anytime the tires could fall off the race car, things can happen very quickly, Alan. A very narrow track surface and probably one of the harder ovals to drive, especially in this segment 2, where you have 3 very distinct ovals that are very difficult in their own circumstances. So this one, to start it off for $3,000 and 5 bonus points, it's going to matter a ton to have that first foot forward well.
The speed, the banking, it reminds you of Bristol, only it's double the length and it feels like double the speed sometimes. The way incidents happen and the way things can happen just so quickly. Qualifying will be so important. We need some of these drivers to get a good start so they can stay out of the mess that's behind them.
And we mentioned some of the firsts that happened with our debut at the Qualcomm circuit in San Diego. Well, not only was it a first for us virtually, but some of our drivers were there. Michael Cozy Jr., you got Bobby Zelensky as well, the drivers for the ERA Esports team, with team boss Jesse Wuji, who was competing. We talked about how awesome it was for Jesse's military service and NASCAR background to come together. He competed in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race over the course of the weekend, but they got to be there on the base to take in all of the excitement. Got to do a couple of activations as well for the fans at the NASCAR Experience stage. And not just that, we've had drivers compete in some fun locations. We checked in with Michael Cozy over the course of that race. He was racing from the Navy Lodge on site at Naval Base Coronado. It was a lot of fun last Tuesday. So now we turn the page and look at the schedule, and we kind of already teed it up, Kenneth. But this segment number 2, again, just like segment 1, it is only 3 weeks. Dover, Iowa, Indianapolis. Your top point scorer over those 3 weeks gets 5 bonus points to kick off the playoffs, plus a $3,000 cash prize.
Again, it also just shows you how quick on your feet you have to be through each segment, because there are only 3 races. So you have a 4-week one time. You've got to really step it up the next 2 weeks or wherever that may be. And Dover's one of those tracks that did not change from schedule release until this point. But now Iowa's in the mix as the middle race of segment 2. So while the drivers at one point were adjusting to race on a road course for race 5, now they have to deal with a very treacherous Iowa Speedway. This Dover track to kick it all off. Again, very difficult, so the drivers do have to be very on point if they want to have all those points to get closer to that cash prize.
It was fun looking at the driver faces a week ago to see how these drivers tackled the road course in San Diego. We'll get all those perspectives again here tonight as we go. I know it's a mile in length, but we'll call it short track racing here at the Monster Mile as they try to fight their way through tonight's contest as the 40 best drivers are ready to do battle. Qualifying, wrap it up. Let's go trackside. Take a look at tonight's Coca-Cola starting grid. Pole position, we'll go to the Hayek Motorsports, number 50 of Quentin Warman, bringing us to the green. He'll be next to 2-time race winner already this season, Bobby Zelensky, in the ERA Esports 22. Then road 2, it's the Canani Sport 66 to Seb Marin and the Spire Motorsports 77 to Stephen Wilson, your race winner from Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. Road number 3, we'll see the E-Racer 69 to Seth Knoll and the Williams F1 Team Gaming 95 of Parker White. And on row 4, P7 on the grid tonight, 2 Parker White's teammates. It's an F1 Team Gaming for Williams back-to-back. They'll be 7th with Donovan Strauss, and next to him in 8th is the FGRXL E-Racing 14 of Seth the Merchant.
Back in row number 5, you'll find the Channel 199 Sim Racing 199 of Dylan Duvall making his 9th career Dover start, and a driver on his outside making his first career Dover start in the series. Logan Helton for the E-Racer Campus 10. Zach Novak and Malik Ray, the Junior Motorsports Chevrolets, will occupy both sides of row number 6, while Garrett Lowe for BS Plus Competition has his 99 car in 13th. Blaze Crawford, the Team Dillon Esports Coca-Cola Chevrolet, is in 14th to begin. Ryan Luza caps off the top 15 for FGRXL in the 12 car, and Femi Olatunbosin qualifies 16th, but we did get notice he is starting from the pit lane tonight.
So he'll have some work to do. Nate Stewart in the Jim Beaver Esports 5 and Casey Kerwin in the Kansas City Pioneers 24 going to make up row number 9. And then halfway home in row 10, it's the BS Competition 89 of Jordy Lopez and the TC Esports number 35 of Matthew Morton. Now row 11, it'll be the Apex Racing 98 of Cody Bias next to the Ripware Racing 55 of Daniel Falkingham. Row 12, the Letard Esports 36 of Thomas Lloyd is next to the Jim Beaver Esports 15 of Colin Keister. That's 23rd and 24th.
Row 13 features Christopher Hill for William Byron Esports. A tough week last Tuesday at Coronado. Going to try to pick things back up with Sean Conklin for RFK Racing, the rookie standings leader, out in 26th place. Kanan Esports has Vicente Salas, the defending winner of this Dover race, on the inside of row 14. Deep start for the winner of this race from 1 year ago, Jake Nichols for TC Esports on the outside in 28th. First start at Dover in a few years for the driver of the 73. Kenny Brady for Team Dillon Esports, the rookie in the 33, is 29th, but also starting from the pit lane, while fellow rookie Dylan Basin for RFK Racing will line up 30th on the starting grid. Michael Cozy Jr. for the ERA Esports team, the 34 car starts in 31st, and the Vegas Inferno number 21. Michael Guest has the outside in 32nd, row 16.
Last couple of drivers as we look to road number 17. It is the Vegas Inferno 01 of Tommy Gossett, just a little bit behind his teammate. And then the Channel 199 86 of Blake Reynolds is alongside in 34th. Row 18 P35 to the second of the Rick Ware cars. This one, the 51 of Garrett Maines. And to the outside, the Latardi Sports number 40 of Connor Urashak. Row 19, the William Byron Esports 97 of Tucker Minter. Some work to do tonight for he and the Hayek Motorsports 47 Dylan Alt as they start in 37th and 38th. And then Wyatt Tinsley for the Kansas City Pioneers and Ryan Doucette for the Apex Racing Team will start 39th and 40th, and they will make out the final row on your Coca-Cola starting grid here tonight at the Dover Motor Speedway. So as the field gets set to roll off, we'll dial up your pole sitter, Alan. He's got some work to do in the points. We'll start in P1, a fantastic way to kick his night off. You've got Quinton Warmer.
Yeah, just what the doctor ordered for Quinton. Quinton, great lap out there. First of all, tell me about that. Outdoing some of the best out there. All right, still waiting on Quinton Warman. He's about to join us here. Quinton, you got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, good to hear, man. You're starting off with the front row. You got the pole, especially when you needed it. First off, tell me about that lap, beating out some of the best.
You know, if I'm being honest, it literally felt like the most average lap I could have ran. It didn't feel good, it didn't feel bad, you know, but usually the laps that feel the most average are the ones that are good. So at a track like Dover, this is probably one of the best tracks to get pole at, because track position is by far the most meaningful thing here.
Yeah, you're going to need about 120 good laps tonight. You're down there in the points, 27th. Are you feeling the pressure already to keep it clean tonight and bring it home?
You know, there's really not much pressure since it's early in the season, but knowing that even a top 10 could get me a lot of points compared to the people around me, there isn't that much pressure being up here, but I'm going to try and stay up here and maybe get a win. We'll see what happens, but there's some of the best in sim racing behind me, so it's going to be pretty difficult, but I'll see what I can do.
What's your biggest challenge tonight at a track like Dover where things can happen so quickly?
Just maintaining track position. Once we run enough laps, the dynamic track's going to start coming in and people are going to start running multiple different lanes. And Dover is also a track that's really abrasive on tires, so it's going to be about managing your tires. And if it gets to this point, executing the pit stop, because this is also one of the hardest tracks to enter pit road at. But mainly, it's just going to be about keeping the tires on it, because this track's really hard on tires, especially when the track temps around like 100 degrees. So it's really hot, so that's going to make that even more of an issue.
Good analysis. A lot of factors tonight, guys. Quinton Warman on the pole. Have fun tonight.
He was talking about track temperature right now. 99 degrees Fahrenheit is the track temp. With that, we preview what we'll see tonight as, Kenneth, we take a look at our Coca-Cola race analysis.
And we've got the same distance as we had last season, 120 laps. That equates to 120 miles. So you had a very simple 1 mile track and the Monster Mile. Pit road speed at 35 miles an hour, but the biggest point of notice is the entry of pit lane. It's at the exit of turn 3 into turn 4, but it gets really, really close when you're on a kind of one-lane racetrack and you have to go all the way down to the entry of pit lane without overcooking the car and then hitting the pit barrels. 4 tire sets available to the drivers. That was huge last season. We saw tires blowing left and right in the final long green flag run here last year, so you do have to watch out for that. And pit windows finally come back into the foreground. We didn't have any pit strategy at Coronado last week. The pit crews are basically recording a podcast, just chilling and hanging out. Had no activity in San Diego. Now they will at least 64 to 67 laps. That's well past halfway, but we'll see. Cautions get thrown any which way, and Miles is always hungry to take a bite of somebody on the racetrack, so we'll see how they handle that.
So 39 cars lined up and ready to go. As remember, one driver will be forced to start from the pit lane due to a penalty 1 week ago. We've seen the likes of Vicente Salas, Steven Wilson win at this racetrack in the next gen era. Who is going to tame Miles the Monster today? It's the start of segment number 2. Quinton Warman, control car on the inside of road number 1. Let's go racing at Dover. Well, he was in control, but a big tire spin for the 50 means that from the outside, Bobby Zelensky goes to an early race lead. Steven Wilson slides into second, and now Parker White taking the battle to Warman for P3.
I mean, you wouldn't be surprised, Evan, to see Zelensky and Wilson out in front, but maybe not that quickly. In turn one of the opening lap, where Warman didn't get a chance to put an opening statement on the board, and now he has to play catch-up just a bit to those front three cars. But even the initial start can have its set of challenges, guys. You have the cold tires, you've got all the anticipation, the nerves going into this track where drivers know they have to be aggressive to gain track position. All of a sudden, first high end, maybe low end or top second gear, tires spin very easily here on this concrete track. So drivers had to hiccup to start, but a very clean first three from the field.
Not the start Quentin Warman wanted, falling back to fifth and struggling to hang on. We're still seeing 2x2 battles. Casey Kerwin back there, back in the field as they're trying to get as much as they can early on and keep this two-lane racing going. But look at the front of this field. Bobby Zelensky, Steven Wilson off to another lead already. The start of their season is just unreal so far, Evan.
No one's been to victory lane besides those two. It was Zelensky in Charlotte for the opener, Steven Wilson at Echo Park, and then Zelensky again just a week ago in San Diego. Will they hog the lion's share of race victories? Vicente Salas is your defending race winner, but he has got some work to do back in the number 29 spot. And look at the 2x2 to go on for a while in front of him. The midfield unable to sort things out. Your top six or so, they've gotten single file, but as Vicente Salas can tell, not going to be easy early for the driver out of Temecula, California. And to get to a track position being so tricky, he may have to rely on some strategy when it comes to the pit stops in this race to get positions in bulk. But up front, Zelensky took the lead early. He has settled in. Warman has lost 2 more spots since the end of lap number 1. Your pole sitter now down to P5 with Seth DeMerchant completing a pass on him. And Warman got a bit of the fence that time off too.
Showing you just how difficult it is to wrangle some quick laps around this Dover Motor Speedway. And again, the single file line on the inside of the racetrack, that's where you want to be when the tires are fresh. But it again shows you how important qualifying is and how the drivers in the lead up to this race talked about how qualifying was basically going to decide how their race was going to go for the rest of the night. And in this next gen era of the series, average start of second for the drivers who end up visiting victory lane here since 2022. Salas all the way back in 27th to start, now 29th. He's got a lot of work to do, but it shows you just how important track position is to gain here at Dover. And especially if you start up there, more often than not, you'll have a chance to win the race.
This is the back half of the top 10 here battling, but we have those big names way back in the field. We saw Vicente. Tucker Minter started weighing back. Wyatt Tinsley is top 10 in points. He's having to make his way up from a near 40th starting position. It's going to be tough for some of these drivers. This is Team eRacer right here, currently running 8th and 9th in the field. They haven't had the best year so far. This is a great start for Logan Helton and Seth Knoll here. They got to keep it going, Evan.
A good start for them as we get the onboard look with their 2 drivers at 8th and 9th position. Behind them also Junior Motorsports, another team with a good start. Malik Razak Novak 11th and 12th. So a couple of teams, but a good start to this one. But we are a long way from home as you see the 199 at Dylan Duval trying to get under the 69. And I just mentioned Malik Ray, one of the Junior Motorsports cars. I thought he was about to go 3 wide, which would be the least surprising thing ever for one of the more aggressive drivers in the field. He opted against it, at least for the time being. He'll continue to fight with Duval, that battle for, we'll call it 10th and 11th position. Here's your onboard look with Malik up a spot from the start of the race, and he breaks free of the side-by-side behind him, now trying to work under at 69 of a sheet of Seth Knoll in front of him. He's just ahead of the chaos. He's broken free of that mid-pack, but look at the positions gained on the left-hand side, with the exception of Sean Conklin at plus 13. I'll give Matthew Morton a shout-out as well at plus 8. There's not a lot of drivers with big swings like that. A lot of 2 here and 3 here is, no, you're not seeing double. That's just both of our Coca-Cola featured drivers, Casey Kerman and Blaze Crawford.
Seeing red right there. Coca-Cola all around the Dover Motor Speedway doing a great job of working through the field, but you're seeing the way how patience carries in from behind the driver's standpoint, because you see this Dover Motor Speedway, and again, you're going to the bottom. You want to make sure you're as close to the bottom of the racetrack as you can, because look how quick that wall comes up. We mentioned the banking and countdown to Green Allen, super steep. You feel like you're shooting up a ramp into the sky when you're coming off of the second or fourth quarter, so you have to watch out for the wall. and then the drivers have to make sure they just arc it down, be very patient on throttle delivery, as you'll see with Sean Conklin trying to rotate, let the car sit, turn, and then try to fire off as low as you can off the corner.
You have to be patient. You almost have to be nice early on, right? The later this race goes, as we see a two-wide battle coming off that corner, you're not going to be as giving to that driver on the outside. But right now we are seeing it. We are seeing that Zach Novak there in the 8. Is that, trying to get under his teammate there. This is tough racing here. Too wide, especially at Dover. A great look from Sean Conklin right now in the 12th position, trying to break into that top 10. But 2 by 2, not what you want to do here in Dover. Everybody trying to find that bottom line.
Well, this is a good enough perspective, but let's give you the gyro cam as we go around this Dover Motor Speedway. What you'll notice, even on the straightaway here where Daniel Falkenham is, you lean into the 24 degrees of banking. There's not on the straight. You don't get flat at all as caution flag number 1 will fly. Front straightaway appears to be clear, so the issue must be somewhere on the back straightaway. Looks like Nate Stewart is showing as off pace on timing and scoring, so that would lead you to believe that something happened with the number 5 car, who scored last time in the number 28 position. And that'll give us an early yellow in this one and potentially open the door for some levels of strategy. Again, you're going to basically have to make the final pit stop to get a fuel number past the halfway point. So nobody can pit this early and get that done. But we talk about tire wear, track position. Last year we had that long green flag run to the end of the race, which led to a lot of tire issues. What is the complexion of this race going to be like? And what is Bobby Zelensky going to indicate for the field? Your leader down to the pit lane, and looks like it is almost a unanimous agreement from everybody else.
It makes sense. Use them or lose them, right? 4 sets, 120 laps. It's a quick race with 4 sets of tires. You still have plenty left on the other end. Got to come now. 15 laps in.
We'll see if there's any variance. 2 tires, 4 tires. We'll update you after we take a second look. And there is Nate Stewart in the number 5 machine. Bit of a checkup up the road. Big run for the 34 on the outside, and it just kind of ran out of space. I don't know if the car on the bottom knew they were 3 wide. Nowhere else for the 34 machine to go up top. It seemed like Cozy was as high as he could go, and a bit of a lazy spin down to the inside wall for the number 5 machine to bring out our first yellow. That car sliding down to the inside wall is why so many people refer to Dover as a self-cleaning racetrack. If you have an incident like that towards the front of the field, this back straightaway can end up with a whole load of cars piled up on that inside fence due to incidents. But in that case, looks like we get away, I would say, relatively okay. The 5 machine is on to pit road for repairs, but it does not look like the damage is too extensive on the machine of Nate Stewart. So as we pace for the first time in this race, I want to remind you that coverage of tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of eNASCAR. And by NASCAR 25, NASCAR's official video game, available now on the Xbox Store, PlayStation Store, and the Steam Store. So it was not everybody onto the pit lane. 7 drivers total have decided to stay out, and that means that the number 55 at Daniel Falkenham is your new race leader. Falkenham, along with Jordy Lopez, Thomas Lloyd, Dylan Alt, Garrett Maines, Ryan Doucette, and Femi Olatunbosin. But the top 7 drivers who stay out, they'll cycle through to the lead. Behind them, almost all 2-tire decisions. Bobby Zelensky came down pit road first. He'll be the first car on 2 fresh tires. A 10.1 second pit stop means that he restarts from the outside of row number 4 in the number 8 spot. So let's see how 15-lap older tires can fare for the drivers who stayed out up front. A majority of these guys were back in the 30s, so I think it's a worthwhile gamble. Pace car off and away. We'll see how Falkenham fares on the bottom. It was a struggle down there for your pole sitter to get going. What does Falkenham do as we get back underway? Good jump for the cars on the inside.
Look at those 2 pink machines, first and third on the inside lane. The teammates for Rick Ware Racing had a great jump from Daniel Falkingham to get around, and this is good to have all those cars set out on old Goodyear Eagles because it's going to be much tougher for all the fresh tire cars, starting with Zelensky, to weave on way through without getting into some drivers and make contact on the way there. He's making the work on the inside of Femi Olatunbosun, but Daniel Falkingham stretching out to a solid lead, back-to-back top 10s in his last 2 races. Looking forward to have the strategy fall in his favor here early.
Pushing it 3 wide with that new tire rubber. Bobby Zielinski trying to make as much ground up as he can early on the inside right now of Femi Olat. Remember, Femi started this race on pit road, so strategy called for him to put himself in this track position with that fresh rubber catching up with him right now as Bobby Zielinski tries to make as much ground up as he can.
Bobby doing everything he can to get under the 50-watt machine, but just not able to do it. A little bit of a 3-wide moment further behind. You're going to see this intermingling as you see the last pit stop lap on the board. Nothing means, of course, they didn't pit. Those drivers should start falling down the ladder as the drivers who have pitted more recently, so a higher number, start climbing their way through. 3 wide again with the number 16 of Ryan Doucette in the center. They'll stay 3 by, and the 6-9 car into the outside wall. I thought Seth Noel was going to bail. He stayed in it. Took a pretty good smack to the right-hand side of the car. In front of them, 3 wide, with the white number 7 of Femi Olatunbosun, center of it all. So a lot of chaos, as expected, but Bobby Zielinski, the best car so far on fresh tires, has driven his way up to P4.
It's so dangerous to try and make passes on fresh tires when you're 3 wide looking for position, but that's why the drivers that are on the fresh rubber are trying to go up high. They know that those guys on the bottom, with the way Dover is built, you have to lay off the throttle in order to avoid getting into a car, and there's a spinning car! Multiple! Garrett Maines, Wilson is involved, Ryan Doucette and a few others get caught up in the mess. Those are the Williams F1 Team gaming cars you were watching on both ends of the screen, but our second caution flies. And Alan, this means strategy in the favor of all those guys that stayed out. Now they get to keep the track position.
Absolutely. That's a good call for them. And just having that in-car or the camera on Donovan Strauss there looked like he was in the middle of it. We'll have to check the damage, but we saw the immediate reaction of him being just a few further spots back than his teammate Parker White. We'll have to check a replay here in a second exactly what happened, but we had it live there. His reaction trying to get away from that slow spinning car. Some early chaos here, only 25 laps in.
We'll take a second look. It's going to be important why this develops, right? The 51 machine did not take tires. The 8 did. So that's why you see to the outside, Novak forces the issue. But they were 2 wide into the corner and 3 wide off. And they all had space. They just didn't really know where they all were. It was contact on the bottom, and they all just kind of piled in, unable to avoid it. The contact ends up being between Maines and Warman. There's an onboard perspective from a little bit further behind. I think from the perspective of maybe the number 16 machine, you'll see contact up the road. Everybody tries to go low, but there's a finite amount of space. There's Strauss into the pit wall, and that's a good piece of wreck avoidance down on the inside for the Vegas Inferno. 21 to Michael Guest. Nice stuff.
Oh, remember when you said, Evan, that this track is naturally self-cleaning? I mean, that was a perfect example of that. They all crashed, and then they went down the banking on the straightaway, so there was the tangle off of 3 wide. Again, it's a dangerous game to play, even if you feel like you're confident enough to make the pass, and then all of a sudden, it looks like somebody poured some Fabuloso all over Dover, and it got very clean on the front straightaway. Here's a look from Dylan Basin. Rookie had to get away from the mess that's right in front. And it's a very fine line you got to row.
Oh. And to me, it seems difficult, Alan. You see the smoke in front. You know, they're obviously wrecking up against the outside wall. I feel like it's muscle memory if there's cars wrecking high to turn low. But we all know at Dover, even if they start wrecking high, they're going low. It seemed like the best decision there was the perspective we were on board with, and that is actually stay to the outside and just try to slow down and not try to undercut it, because the cars are going down to the bottom wall every time.
Yeah, all about instinct there. And you see just how narrow it gets. I mean, we can see it there, but and when you see that crash and everyone start trying to avoid the track, the front stretch gets so narrow there at Dover. That was the second time Tucker Minter, high driver in points that we're expecting a lot of things of coming from the back of this field. He's had to avoid 2 wrecks early on. That was some good wreck avoidance from the 97.
So it looks like of the drivers who did not pit on the last yellow, some of them are in this time. I see Maines in, Doucette in, Femi Olatunbosun's in, and Daniel Falkingham. Again, a lot of those drivers were involved in the accident. So that will leave 3 of the drivers who did not pit, who are still out on the racetrack Lopez, Lloyd, and Alt, still out there on the same tires they started the race with, are going to be in second, third, and fourth. And that should give Bobby Zalenski a good head start here as the lights are on top of the pace car, because he was able to get himself back into the number 2 spot and now on the front row with Jordi Lopez. So if the 22 machine can get the clean air and get going, he, I think, can maybe use the 89, the 36, and the 47 behind him as a bit of a blocker to hopefully, in his case, slow down the likes of Novak and DeMerchant and Warman, the other cars who are also on the fresh tires. We'll see how successful Zalenski can be. He'll be second for the restart. The control car is still Jordi Lopez on the inside. Second restart of the afternoon. It's a great jump for the 89 car.
That's what you want, especially when you know you're on the older set of Goodyear Eagles, is to just get as far away as possible and take as much time up at the front as you can. He wants Zalenski to be held up just a little bit by Thomas Lloyd, knowing he's going to clear eventually, and finally he does. 3 wide in the middle of the pack. Dylan Alt in the middle, Dylan Duval on the bottom, Zach Novak trying to make it high side 3 wide to gain some track position. 2 Chevrolets and a Toyota make their way to turn 1. Novak breaks free, and here comes Zalenski within 2 car lengths on the back straightaway.
Novak has been making that high lane work, and now he stays up there trying to make as many passes as he can, trying to make a third lane, it seems like at times, but the high lane working for the driver of the number 8. Bobby Zalenski in hot pursuit, though, of the lead once again after that restart.
More 3 wide behind them, but the battle for the race lead is on. Zalenski to the outside of Jordi Lopez. Drag race down the back straightaway and into turn number 3. Zalenski goes way up the hill, trying to wind it up for the runoff at turn 4. And that'll be the recipe for success. Through and clear, and back to the race lead goes Bobby Zalenski.
Beautiful pass from Zalenski, and that's the perfect place he wanted to be on the restart, was be at the top of the speedway, because he knows he can get such a huge run off of the corner as long as he can stay underneath the point where he would wash up into the outside wall. But he has so much grip, he's able to rotate through the center of the corner nicely. And for Lopez, there's not much you can do other than now just play damage control for a driver who has struggled through the first 3 races of the season. There's that silver lining for Lopez, is that if the strategy plays out, he can try to hold on to some good points.
I love what we're seeing. This is the battle for 5th here, but that fresh rubber, what it can do. Malik Ray pushing up high. Maybe he missed the corner a little bit, or he's fighting really hard for that position down low with the 35 car of Thomas Lloyd. A good battle here on the racetrack. Yeah, wow. Look, I'm just watching Malik Ray push up just the slightest bit, guys. Maybe some fireworks here coming between these two if they stay together like this.
I mean, Malik and company, they're leaning on each other. Dylan Alt was 3 wide a couple of times there, just in the background at about P11 or so. These drivers know that once we get into a run and this field single files and stretches itself out, that those passing opportunities are going to be more and more difficult, so they want to be aggressive on these restarts. So Zalenski, we mentioned, got to the lead. Lopez on the older tires is still second. Now DeMerchant and Warman got around some of the other cars on the older tires. They're up to 3rd and 4th, but they're fighting with each other because here comes Warman on the bottom of the 14. So battling for 3rd as they both try to, at the same time, chase down Jordi up the road in the number 2 spot. You want to get there and catch him and get around him fast. You do not want Bobby Zalenski running away with this thing up front.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you either try to kind of help each other even though you're at odds trying to gain 2nd place, or you just get around the car in front and then start to hunker down and work. But you can only show muscle when it's flexing time. Right now they don't have the possibility to do that, where Zalenski has just stretched out to a very comfortable lead, and that's the perfect sight, Alan. He can see those cars 3rd and 4th going side by side. He's telling himself, yeah, they're going to lose time later on in this race, and that's only good for the 22 car.
Yeah, it's been like that a lot this year for Bobby Zalenski so far, as the 25 of Christopher Hill tries to push it down there, making it 3 wide, heading into the corner further back in the field. It's so much more chaotic back here than what Bobby Zalenski is seeing right now. And here's a great battle here. We have Novak and Steven Wilson trying to get back up there through the field as they took their tire strategy. Hasn't had the same luck, that had the same clean air track position as Bobby Zalenski has. But Steven Wilson will always be there as the laps tick off.
and somebody that you can never count out, being Steven Wilson. We'll keep an eye on how he's faring inside of the top 10, but trying to get this thing with a bit of momentum behind it after 2 caution flags, pretty close back-to-back. The DeMerchant and Warmid battle is, again, still more of a fight for third than it is a threat to Lopez in second as of now. And some more drivers in on this mix. It's not just them. Parker White, Dylan Duval, Malik Ray, they're all on the same strategy. The cars on the old tires, they've fallen way back. Dylan Alt has trickled down to 15th position. Thomas Lloyd is down to 24th position. So they've dropped way out of this thing. It's really only Lopez of the drivers who is yet to pit who's able to hold his own and maintain the track position. And his goal, if he can stay ahead of this battle, and if they keep fighting, I think his odds improve, is that he could just hang out in the top 5 until we get to whenever the next pit cycle is, under green, under a later yellow, and then pit once all these cars have decided, yeah, we need more tires, and he essentially skips a pit stop entirely, and he gets a whole host of track position because Jordy started in 19th. So again, anything, top 5, top 10 would be great. P2's fantastic, and if they keep doing this, they're not catching the 89 anytime soon. Parker White on the outside of Warman. That's the way you do it. He's through to P4.
It's the right way to make a pass. Just sneak to the outside, point the nose in, make the space available, and then just attack in the middle of the corner. Oh, Warman's loose at the exit of turn 2, had to catch the Chevrolet and lost a few more on the way out of there to turn 3. Malik Ray and Dylan Duval getting by. Now Steven Wilson taking a shot from the high shelf in turn 4. But with Jordy Lopez, that is a proper demonstration of how tires matter up until a certain point here at Dover, because Dover has the dirty air, has all of the track position change with not how wide this track is, very narrow that this track can display with a single file groove. So with Lopez maintaining his track position, very good situation for him to be able to hold on. And look at TC Esports having to run through the mud. Tons of cars in the mid-pack all around each other.
You wanted 2 new teams to join the series this year alongside the Rick Ware Racing operation. So TC Esports has got Matthew Morton and Jake Nichols. Both of these cars right around each other in the low 20s, but with some work to do. I'd love to be able to pick their way through the field. Love the colors, though, on those cars. Very easy to identify them as teammates, as we took that look from high above and from the iRacing blimp. Now you're looking at the 199 of Dylan Duval. The track racer machine started this race in the number 9 spot. He's been able to work his way up to P5 as well, doing the best he can to benefit from the tires. Trying to basically follow the 95 of Parker White through here. Quinton Warman had been hanging in the battle for third. He's lost a handful. We saw White get around him. Duval's past him. Ray's past him. So Warman down to P7. Maybe struggling a little bit at this point in the run.
And I like the distinct grooves that we're seeing from, Seth DeMerchant is up just about a half lane there, and then it's not helping Parker White, pick a lane to make the pass. We saw Parker White making a lot of hay on the high side. It's hard to do when the car in front of you is up a little bit, and then he's having trouble making that pass on the inside. So we've seen this throughout the field, that just a little bit, almost like a second mid lane there, is really working for some of these drivers.
Bit of a wiggle there off of the corner for the 21 Machina. Michael Guest on the bottom. They'll go 3 wide. Number 6 and Dylan Bass into the middle, and he changed his mind. He got out of the gas with the 97 and Tucker Minter not lifted up top. There's a look off of the back of the Logitech machine. We got it called out. Some work to do for Minter after he was 37th position on the grid. Didn't take a timing cue as that 6 car smacks the fence behind him. Tucker's done a great job, though, of getting 21 positions gained. In fact, Dylan Alt right there with him, 23 positions gained. So a couple of drivers who started from the rear have worked their way towards, we'll call it the front third or so, as we get closer and closer to halfway home.
Yeah, for Tucker, this is a huge get-back race, whether it be just finishing well or maybe putting himself in a chance to win the race, because we saw just how tough things got, especially at Echo Park Speedway, where we expected him, Christopher Hill, to work well together, and they did for a while. They were just in the wrong places at the wrong time, and then picked it back up. Had a bit of beef with Vicente Salas at Coronado last Tuesday, but Minter's done a great job of moving up through the field. And again, just impressive to see the way the drivers have really maintain their composure when you're 2 and 3 wide like this at Dover, and it can be very easy to cough up a mistake, especially when you're one of those cars on the inside. If you run that right front just a little bit too wary on the exit of the corner, carry too much speed, it's going to send up the racetrack. And that's where we're really starting to see the heart of these fights go on. Michael Gestil and all, they've gained a lot following the tracks of Tucker Minter. Just great racing all around at this midpoint.
Really seems like as we get some rubber on this racetrack now and we get deeper into one of these green flag runs compared to some of the shorter stints yet, that the bottom, again, just struggling to carry the speed through that you would have had right off at the jump. Everybody's using that banking up top. If you can keep it off the fence, a lot of people getting the Dover stripe in turn 2, but if you can keep it off the fence, that outside lane has got a ton of speed if you're in a side-by-side battle. Here's a look at the battle for 4th position on the top of your screen. Dylan Duval fighting with the 88 Machinima Lee Grand, the 95 of Parker White. Then below in the battle for 17th, that's Dylan Alt, Michael Cozy Jr., and more. Cozy loose on the bottom, loses out of those positions, and has to jump back in line and try again. One thing I'll mention as well, we talked about Steven Wilson trying to work his way back through the field. I'll give a shout out to Justin Malillo with the eagle eye on this one. Steven working with some left front damage on that 77 car from contact earlier. Doesn't look like it is hurting him too much, but certainly the front end of these race cars very sensitive. Bit of a storyline to keep in mind for Wilson as he's battling for P6 up against Malik Ray.
I'm watching the top of this battle. Seth DeMerchant has been hanging on in 3rd place, but the gap, it seems to be closing just a little bit to Jordy Lopez, but no one's been able to get past DeMerchant, whether that's just being tough to pass, whether that's more of a defensive line. For a while there, they couldn't get any ground on Jordy Lopez in front. It was almost like DeMerchant was holding these cars that you're seeing here back, but DeMerchant been able to lead this line as they try to chase down Bobby Zielinski clean sailing. Now it looks like Dylan Duval may have the best shot at getting by DeMerchant, but everyone's trying to figure out which line to do it on.
And Kenneth, I'm really impressed by what we're seeing out of Jordy Lopez here. He was one of 7 drivers on this strategy. Half of them came down and pitted the next yellow anyways, but the guys who didn't do that, right now they're running 22nd and 23rd, and the guys who did come down and pit the second time, the best of them is Femi Olot in 17th right now. So for Jordy Lopez on old tires to be holding P2, extremely impressive to me.
It is, and especially with the gap that he maintained, is swinging under 3 wide Tommy Goss at turn 3. For Lopez to get as far out as he did on the restart, that obviously helps a lot. You can back off on your tires a little bit, you can maintain the distance, and again, as I mentioned, the tires do matter up until a certain point in the run. So after about 5 to 6 laps, these tires stabilize a little bit. So the advantage that you would have if you're a Seth DeMerchant, Parker White, Steven Wilson, it starts to stabilize a little bit to the point where it is not increasingly faster than the old tire car. It's just maybe marginally faster, and it's how you deal with the fresh rubber that really makes a difference. And with Jordy being able to hang behind Zielinski, carry the draft, save his stuff a little bit while also having a gap with drivers fighting behind him, it's just a method of composure that these drivers have learned throughout their sim racing careers with these tires that don't necessarily wear out too much now that they're this long in the run, and it's becoming increasingly harder to pass.
Was some fun stuff we were watching with Thomas Lloyd and Tommy Gossett. Couple of slide jobs back there in the mid-20s. Doesn't matter where you are on track, you got to be aggressive for every single position. And look at this. I mean, it's a big, long line where you're not getting more than maybe a half a tenth between a lot of those positions throughout the midfield, with the exception of Zielinski up front and then the 2 cars kind of hanging off the back end of the field. Everybody super tight together. Great illustration from up high just how close everybody is, with the exception of the 2 outliers, the last couple cars on the lead lap, I think being likely Crawford and Maines. Everybody else in line and a part of the battle. And it's not quite a battle yet, but Zielinski, that advantage got up to 5 tenths. I was saying, if you're Duval or White, or I think it was Warman at the time, listen, you got to get around Jordy Lopez. You can't let Zielinski get away. Let's give Lopez credit. Jordy hasn't let Bobby get away. Not only did that gap not grow from what it was a half a second, it has come down to just about 2. So it is on very shortly in the battle for the race lead. In fact, that was a poor run off the corner for Bobby. And Jordy's right there, all 4 of these guys. Duval, White, Wilson, toss them in also. They're there on the leader.
Yeah, this long run has suddenly got pretty competitive. Dylan Duval has been making up spots. Now he wants to press Jordy Lopez for second and go get the lead himself. Steven Wilson there chasing with Parker White. But if we have a pass for second here, we may have a pass for the lead very soon after, a little further back in the field. We're getting racy as we have something of a longer tire run here, guys. The reaction through the field and at the lead.
Well, remember, guys, the story last year here at Dover were tires the main concern of keeping him alive. Oh, his gas got hitting the outside wall entering turn 3. That was contact with Jake Nichols, and somehow will stay alive, will stay green with 56 laps to go. But tires were blowing at the very end of the Dover race, and it was all about how slow could you go to eventually be the fastest to stay alive with the attrition that comes when right fronts start blowing, when right rear start going away, and you get that meatball flag. It's a black and orange flag on iRacing that tells you you have to come down pit road or else you will be disqualified. So maybe Zelensky and those up at the front, maybe not pushing the issue as much because they know those tires are going to start to go away now that we're in the longest green flag run of the night.
Here's a look at what happened with gas. That was a really late block trying to get up in front of a car who had a big run off of the corner. And sometimes drivers will cut you a break if you make a move like that. Maybe he was banking on a break, but he was not offered one and was promptly ushered into the corner and got a bit of the outside wall. But again, he was able to continue without much further incident. Here's the perspective of the driver in third place. Dylan Duval in the 199, hanging out the back end. That was Jordy Lopez on 66 lap-old tires, working hard to keep Bobby Zelensky in check. Now remember, we said the pit window 64 to 67. We've had a couple of cautions, so Jordy could go beyond that 67 number, but we are in the fuel window to the end of the race. You could pit at this moment and go to the end of the race every single car, but they're not going to just simply pit and fill it up with fuel all the way. These drivers are going to want to make that final pit stop, tires factored in, as short as possible. So Lopez, maybe 5-ish laps that he could still go. But again, because he hadn't pitted yet, everybody else could go as many as 17 laps further on fuel than Jordy. So in either respect, don't be surprised if the first car to pit from these leaders is Jordy Lopez.
And what's interesting is the long run seems to be benefiting him. So even if he has to have the longest stint out of any of these drivers as he goes for the lead on these old tires, if he has the longest run at the end of this race, it's clearly not hurting him. We don't know what Bobby Zelensky's doing exactly as they come off the corner so tight, but Jordy Lopez sticking around on this long run to start the race. Can this be a factor at the end? That's what I can't wait to find out.
This strategy has gone from stay out, try to get some track position, and then to catch a yellow to cycle up with the leaders to just be as good, if not better, than the leaders. It's super impressive what Jordy's been able to do. And again, he's got to make a decision here. We know pit stops are looming. Is now the time to force the issue? How much of a benefit do you think could be gained by getting around Bobby Zelensky now, pitting as the leader? Do you think if you clear him, you're actually that much better pace-wise that you could separate yourself before the pit stop? Or, do you feel like you're being held up by staying behind the 22? You got to make a decision because everybody's going to have to pit, and if you're Jordy, you are going to have to pit earlier than anybody else. And one thing that was alluded to pre-race in this one, Alan, is green flag pit stops at Dover, one of the more complicated pit entries we'll see on the schedule.
Yeah, we're going to looking at Zach Novak here, but you said it about just how cuffed green flag pit stops can be at this track. You can see just the dive into the turn, then you'll have to slow down, and that transition from the concrete caution on the racetrack. This should
I don't know if that
simplify
counts
things
as a jinx, but we were talking about green flag pit entries. That is not going to be a factor. We're hearing Sebastian Marin may be the driver who has had trouble in the number 66 car, and well, that will null and void that entire conversation because everybody is going to be coming down pit road together. It's just going to be under the caution flag, and it is going to eliminate any talk of the strategy. So I would call that a mission successful for Jordy Lopez as he took that car from the high teens to P2 on that alternate strategy, and now he at least knows, listen, his car looked really good on the long run. He'll be even with everybody. There is going to be no advantage or disadvantage to having short pitted or long pitted. It's going to be a complete reset and an even playing field as they will all come down pit road together under the yellow.
And he also went 5 laps over the maximum lap count on the fuel window, so that tells you just how much he was able to save under the yellows and even how much he was able to hang with the leaders under green. It's such an impressive run for Jordi Lopez as he'll try to take away second in the lead on the pit stop. So here's a look at the replay. There's Nate Stewart, that white Ford Mustang on the top, the black and green Toyota Camry of Sebastian Marin. I think it was just a case of a big run from Nate Stewart, and Marin possibly hoping that he could stay clear of Stewart, forcing the crossover at the exit of 2. But Stewart has such a big run. Speed difference is in favor of Stewart by a large margin, and Marin comes up the racetrack. They make the contact. A great save from Marin. Christopher Hill getting around that on the inside. They did avoid a big spin, a big calamity issue there on the back straightaway, but still ends up being a pretty tough scenario for Marin, who had a really good qualifying effort to start.
So pit cycles completed, and your lead car off of the pit lane is going to be Bobby Zalenski with a 10-second pit stop. 2 tires only again, and I believe he took 2s on his first trip down to the pit lane. So still with the Origin left side tires on that car. Zalenski, the first driver out. Dylan Duval is in second. Steven Wilson to third. So Jordi Lopez losing time on pit road with the slowest pit stop time out of anybody inside of the top 12. It's going to cycle him to P4. He's still in a great spot. Alan, I think you've got him on the radio.
Jordi Lopez working the strategy to your advantage, my friend. The longer the run went, it seemed like the better you got. What is working for your strategy right now?
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised. Like, the car is driving really good. I felt like we had a lot of pace towards the end of that run. I was hoping that it would go green, but I'm pretty happy being in this position because of how crazy it is. It's sort of going to get around like 20th. So I was just trying to get track position as quick as possible and try to be in clean air and in like a safe zone, I guess you could say.
Yeah, top 5 up with some of the best. You're very safe zone. 1 to go here, I think, so we'll let you go, but have fun tonight.
Jordy's going to find himself outside of number 2 in a 4th. There were some cars who took 4, but they are few and far between. The first driver on 4 tires, Malik Ray, keep an eye on him at 14th. Does that really give him a huge benefit? Sean Conklin, Ryan Luza, Garrett Lowe, Michael Guest, Jake Nichols, other drivers who take 4 tires inside of the top 25. Other than that, it's 2 tires all the way through. So a majority of the cars looking like they're not going to change tires on the left sides at all. Here we go with a restart at 44 laps to go. Zalenski gets the jump down to 1 and 2. He'll be clear over Wilson for the race lead.
And this looks exactly like it did on the opening lap of the race. Zalenski and Wilson being the 2 breakaway cars at the entry of turn 3. Everybody squandering for position from 5th on back. Jordi Lopez trying to hang the outside of Zach Novak, making a proper fight for 5th. Dylan Duval in the back as well, trying to hang with Parker White for 3rd place, and Zalenski has pulled away off turn 4.
Clean and green for Bobby Zalenski. What a jump he's had. And look at that hornet's nest behind him. That's what Jordi Lopez was trying to avoid. He may have dropped a position, but he is largely looking safe. But it's the 2 best in the series right now. Bobby Zalenski, Steven Wilson out there in the cleanest of air, the cleanest of track position. Everybody else behind them fighting for whatever they can. 3, nearly 4 wide. Casey Kerwin, the former champ, making his presence known late on in this race.
Oh, and trouble, there it is, the 35. Matthew Morton goes around. Big impact for the 86 of Blake Reynolds. Another caution, this time just outside of 40 to go.
Look, we just talked with Jordi Lopez talking about the significance of track position, not wanting to be back in the field and strategizing around that. A huge victory for people on that strategy because look what happened. It always happens back there, especially off these restarts.
Want to say just a matter of time. We've gotten away a lot tonight with those 3 wide close calls, and that time we just didn't. But Kenneth, you called it out. I mean, just like the initial start of the race and what we saw early, drivers knowing you got to get what you can on the restarts. And We'll get a second look to see how it unfolded, but there was a lot of drivers slicing, throwing blocks, and being aggressive. That's what you got to do when you're at 40-something laps to go. Here's what happened.
Well, this is what I call the mosh pit of the field. Everybody bouncing around each other. And look at this, 3 wide. That's Ryan Luza on the bottom of the racetrack. Morton in the middle. Michael Guest appears high side for 3. And we mentioned how hard it is to keep the inside here at Dover. And that's a minor shift up, maybe half a lane, maybe less than that from the inside car of Ryan Luza. But when you're 3 wide, there's not as much space to occupy. The real estate goes away. And then Morton goes for the slide. And then the rest of the calamity happens in the aftermath. Reynolds involved. Blaze Crawford gets a tough hit on the outside of the racetrack. We mentioned it's hard to get around chaos here at Dover just because of how narrow it is, and all of that banking on the straightaway cleans everybody down the racetrack. Another look 3 wide. You'll see Luza keep it just a little bit high. It keeps them all together, but then there's that contact as Morton gets to run off the corner, and everybody just bounces off each other in turn 3.
And that was one of the few times where it looked like they were 3 wide for a lot of the corner, but so many times you go into the turn 2 wide. So as the car on the bottom, you're kind of setting your whole turn up, knowing that there's going to be a single car to your outside. And if somebody's got a big run up top, they're top 3 all of a sudden. You're just not lining up to get off the corner that way, Alan. I don't know if he didn't know that there were 2 cars to his outside, and I think it's worth noting, for those who watch all the time will know this, like these teams, they've got spot. People in the sim with them helping out, but even well, here's a look at how this. Apologize about the quick tech issue there. You took a look at your team standings. There it is again. Spire Motorsports came into tonight as the team leaders. They are still there, but you want to talk about improvements. The Williams F1 Team Gaming, their group was 9th in the team standings coming into this one. They sit 3rd in the live points. You know, we are a long way from home, and a lot can and will likely happen into what's going to be 38 laps to go this time by, but just goes to show you, yeah, it's still early in the year. It's only week 4. You get a good showing. You get 2 cars inside of the top 10. That can do a lot. And that team championship, something else that pays out a lot of prize money at the end of the season. So we'll try this again. 38 laps to go. Zelensky, Wilson, your 2 race winners on the season. They're on the front row with White, Duval, Lopez, the top 5 behind him. Green flag back in the air.
What a lovely restart for not only Zelensky, but for Wilson, who most importantly is going to have the outside as they come off turn 2. You can get a big run off from the back straightaway. They even out once again, heading down to turn 3. Wilson for the first time tonight, challenging for the lead. A slide by Zelensky in 3, nosing ahead off turn 4. We are still even for the lead back to turn 1.
Feels like it's a battle for the win right now to get this track position. Bobby Zelensky slides up. Can Steven Wilson cut, do anything behind it? Zelensky sounds like he's cleared it and made the pass. Steven Wilson's not going anywhere though, Evan.
He tried it on that first lap off of the restart, couldn't get through, and now big trouble for the 50. Caution is out, and Quentin Warman is absolutely destroyed in what looks like turn number 3. So another fast yellow, and that happened in the same spot on track as the caution just prior to this one. Ryan Luza in the 12 was a part of the most recent one. He, I saw, was slow in this one, so we'll have to see what develops, but I don't think we're surprised, guys. You get a late yellow, and this is typically what you see, the age-old adage of cautions breed cautions, showing true right here in the final third at Dover.
Best battle of the night so far. Again, the 2 best of the season, 2 of the best the series has ever seen, battling it out on a restart late in the race here in Dover. Bobby Zelensky got the best of that one, but it seems like Steven Wilson wasn't exactly going to go anywhere afterwards. But the importance of that track position and that lead, the clean air, Bobby Zelensky won that one. But now we get another restart. They can try again.
Well, let's check this out, and we'll see what happened down in turn number 3. So they're coming off of 2, and they're just 2x2, but it's trouble right there up the road. One car gets loose into the outside wall. There's a bit of a hesitation and a check, and then it all seems to stem from a chain reaction for the incident ahead of where Warman actually gets taken out.
Yeah, it was Donovan Strauss, the 4 car for Williams F1 Team Gaming. He fishtailed down the back straightaway, checked everybody up. This is a look on board from Christopher Hill. And look at Connor Yurushak. That's Kyle Busch, shades of Daytona all the way back then, saving it on the apron. Although one of his good friends taken out in a hard crash to the inside wall. We mentioned Dover, no place to hide. As soon as Strauss got sideways and into the outside wall, everyone had to check up, try to go to the inside to find an escape route. But eventually, that's where the contact was made and the caution flew.
We talk about self-cleaning. Usually it's the top of the wall down to the bottom. This was the opposite, so clearly nowhere to hide on this racetrack as Quentin Warman goes from the inside back up the racetrack. Not something we often see at Dover, but when it happens, it collected a lot of good race cars.
So now this begs the question, right? We are not expecting to see pit stops from this point on to the end. These cars were all just on pit lane about 12 laps to go and are almost all on the same strategy. So despite the yellows, yeah, maybe you'll get somebody midfield on the back. If we get another one at 20 to go, come down, try to get something. But for the most part, your leaders, they're locked in. So the question is, do we feel like this race can go back green? Here's a second look at maybe inches for Yurushak to the outside. And normally you don't want to be able to see the Letarte name on the side of the car when you're looking straight on at it. That's how sideways that thing was. But it was a good piece of driving. I just don't know if even a restart at 32 to go, which is going to become, if you get another yellow, 25 to go, then 20, then 15 guys. I just don't know if we're going to see a long green flag run to the end, because you're going to see a lot of the racing similar. Now race control, going to make this one a single file restart. That's going to spread these cars out a lot more and could aid in trying to get some green flag laps as we look to get some pace back. It's going to be 33 laps to go this time by. How spread out do the leaders get? And who's going to be the first one to make a dive on somebody as they're all up against the outside wall? Oh, a shot to the bumper of Zelensky there as we're off and
That was strategy right there from Bobby Zelensky. I used that move in quarter midgets back in the day. You get moving a little bit, you slam on the brakes, and now you got a big old lead with caution on the racetrack already. Bobby Zelensky playing games out there.
I said it to help, but that had the adverse effect. We did not get as far as we had on those previous runs, and slow things down again. And I always refer to it as this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Drivers are frustrated. It's late. They're aggressive. So it causes a yellow. And you want to say, all right, back it down, take it easy. The problem is each caution takes 5 laps off the board. So if I was anxious at 35 to go, I'm going to be more so at 30 to go. So I'm going to drive that much more aggressive. And it's just a cycle that leads to the cautions, breed cautions. Curious how this one starts though, KB. Because we were single file, let's take a look.
This is where Michael Guest is on the inside of Quentin Warman, and Jake Nichols is the one that gets the other end of the stick. That's Garrett Maines, the pink and white Chevrolet right behind. And Guest, it appears, was trying to make a move, but then checked up on the straightaway. Not sure if he was maybe just second-guessing the decision or what, but Nichols eventually slowed down, and there was minor rear bumper to nose contact between Maines and Nichols. And just a simple spill. I'm sure the drivers at the front probably weren't too happy to see that yellow come out with as small of a caution as it was.
Our old friend Blake McCandless would say they were racing for 73rd and brought out a caution.
But it would have been a really, dude? It would have been one of those.
Yeah, really, dude? Come on.
We brought back the show us your rigs, so never say never. Who knows? So that one was way back in the line. And again, going to give these drivers an opportunity to sit and think. And we'll look forward to what's to come here in segment number 2. We will go to Iowa Speedway. This track got moved from the end of segment 1 to segment number 2, and it'll be the first time on the season that we will see the heat racing format. It's coming your way 2 weeks' time on Tuesday, July 7th. Looking forward to visiting Newton, Iowa. Always one of the funner short tracks on the calendar.
Real life Des Moines, one of the more underrated cities in America. I bet the eNASCAR version is just as good, but visit Iowa if you ever get a chance, everybody.
One of the newer tracks as well. I mentioned this is our 13th visit all time to the Dover Motor Speedway in series history. Iowa had been a track on the calendar for some of the lower NASCAR National Series for the longest time. Took a while to get to the Cup level. Going to be our third straight year racing at Iowa. Stephen Wilson won our first ever race there back in 2024 and followed up with a victory last season. So the Hawkeye, can he go 3 for 3 at Iowa Speedway? I think that's going to be the storyline when we get to that one in a couple of weeks' time. But we still have to settle our debts with Miles the Monster, and he's taking a couple tonight. Some late cars off of the pit lane. That was Jake Nichols and Dylan Duval down for some damage repairs. They're able to get it out in front of the pace car and cycle back through.
And these single file restarts are going to be absolutely pivotal just because of what Bobby Zelensky did on that restart. I mean, when you're second on back, you're at the mercy of the leader. So when you're 2 by 2, you can try and predict what that leader's going to do, especially with what we saw with Wilson. But now you're just at the mercy of whatever he ends up doing. And there is a rule as well on iRacing that you cannot pass to the inside of the racetrack before the start-finish line is crossed. So if the drivers do end up in a checkup point, they cannot make a move to the bottom and complete the pass before they cross the line. They have to give up the spot, and that creates also just a chain reaction of things. Zelensky's going to play it smart, though. He's going to frustrate the field and try to hold on to the lead.
Yeah, puts Parker White in a tough position, trying to figure out what Bobby Zelensky's going to do to maybe get the jump on Stephen Wilson. It worked the first time. Big jump for Bobby Zelensky here. Green flag, Evan.
Yeah, 77 didn't even get to the bumper that time. It's Zelensky off and away. Stephen Wilson in line second. Parker White, Jordy Lopez, Duval now the battle for P5. Can Femi Olatunbosa to make something happen? The 7 car looking to the inside.
Well, that's big for the team championship. We were talking about Williams F1 Team Gaming. They're crawling up through the standings. And when we talked about them, they had both of their cars in the top 10. Well, now Spire Motorsports, Femi was a huge part of their team championship last year, and he's doing a big part in helping Stephen Wilson and help them to get to the team championship if they hold on to the lead. A great look entering turn 3 with Jordy Lopez right in front, trying to nose to the inside.
28 to go, and Femi is here in the top 5, looking to get 4th. Looks like he has the speed to do it. Remember, he started this race on pit road. Now he's going to try it on the high side as Jordy Lopez goes high. Lopez trying to get position as well. But a great run, a great comeback so far for Femi. It's not over yet.
So Femi was able to get the one, now trying to set up another, looking to the inside of Jordy Lopez for that position. Jordy cycled back to 4th after the successful pit strategy, but has not been able to get anything else since then. What can he do? Behind them, Casey Kerwin. This is for 11th on back. He's got Tinsley. He's got Urashak in the mix as well. They've gotten and stayed single file much longer off of this short run, and there's Urashak again on the inside of the racetrack now, trying to get around the 20 machine. Can't do it. We saw Michael Cozy Jr. had the unique perspective of racing a week ago at Naval Base Coronado, back in more familiar grounds here today, and has done a great job up 16.
Yeah, he's working away around Garrett Law on the outside, but how about the Kansas City Pioneers? Both of them now in the top 15 after Kerwin had to make his way up from 18th and Wyatt Tinsley from 39th on the starting grid. I mean, he's done a great job working his way up through the group. And those two teammates, again, team championship does matter as much as the driver's championship. So those two can stick together. It's going to be some good songs at the end of tonight. And Kerwin's not done yet, having to fight Connor Urashak to save on the apron in one of our most recent yellows. Now diving to the inside in the top 15.
Urashak going to try to slide up and clear the 24. It's exactly what he does, and Kerwin probably could have fought it, but decides not worth it at the moment. So now Christopher Hill, haven't talked a lot about the number 25 Logitech machine. He is going to try to do the same thing on the inside now. This time on the exit, though. Is he going to get a second one from Kerwin? Not quite clear, but he'll have to get advantage into one and should be able to get the job done here if he wants. Clear high. Does he slide up in front? A little bit timid. He does. Cozy to the outside. Not space for that. Kerwin goes around, and another caution, this time coming to 21 to go.
We saw that developing for a bunch of consecutive corners. Cozy was flirting with a third line. Not sure if Casey Kerwin knew he was there or Cozy just pushed it a little too far. But that's what happened. He got to hitting the left, hitting the right rear and just hooked him. Casey Kerwin in the wall after that.
So we slow them down again. That single file restart helped a bit, but this one is going to bridge us inside of the final 20. And aside from what we were watching, high 10s, kind of mid-teens where a lot of the battling was, not a lot happened up front. Zelensky, Wilson, and White seemed pretty comfortable in those lead few spots.
And that was just off the single file restart. I mean, no one could have a proper run on each other. The only close battle we had was between Femi Olatunbosa and Dylan Duval, where Femi finally got around and then was working on Lopez. But the top three have been so stabilized on speed now that they're basically on the same tire set. It just hasn't created that big of a difference. Here's the second look at what happened in this incident with Casey Kerwin and Michael Cozy Jr. And this is basically a situation of hashtag not clear. Casey Kerwin, I mean, thinks he's probably clear, but Michael Cozy Jr. knows he has a run that's worthy enough of making a move. And it's tempting, Alan, when you have a move like that, you feel like you have enough space to occupy. You think Kerwin is going to give you that space, and then it just closes up in the matter of a second. Dylan all getting around it, but just miscommunication between the two, and they were talking about it over the radio as well.
Yeah, and Cozy had been setting that up. We were watching that battle, and you could see he was in that third lane, and the more Kerwin was battling the other cars, it would slow them down and give Cozy that momentum. It appears Kerwin was either never told or, again, clearly not clear, but who knows what he knew when Cozy was out there, if at all.
We're going to get a chance to talk to Casey Kerwin, trying to get that damage repaired on pit road. Casey, we saw you in that fight with a few other cars and got tagged there off of turn 2. What'd you feel behind the wheel?
Yeah, I just got my front end killed again for however many times this season. No matter how good of a job we do to get track position, something stupid happens in front of us and we're the ones that get killed from it. So I was just fighting as hard as I could with no front end. And unfortunately, Cozy got to my outside, and I just was already tight. I tried to leave space, but it was too late. And turned myself, so probably didn't change the result because we were going to go probably to dead last. Since all these stack-ups and everything knocked my front end off, and hopefully we can just get some luck for once, and maybe everyone else can get taken out from other stuff, and we can get some positions back that we deserve, but can't pass there anyway, so I have fun running around in 38th the rest of the night.
Well, Casey's still a ways to go. We hope things improve, but best of luck here the rest of the race.
Well, no surprise or inferencing has to be done to know how Casey Kerwin feels. Obviously frustrated that his night is not going to come to the end that he feels like he probably deserved in this one. And after 2 attempts at restarting in a single file line, this time we're going to double them up 2 by 2 once more and to get set for a restart with 18 laps to go. The only 2 cars who have won races this year are still on the front row. They've been the best 2 all night. It's Zelensky in control, Wilson to his outside. It's an early start for the E22. He's got the jump in the lead now to turn 1.
Wilson had that eye on Zelensky. You can tell he was trying to predict the right timing for Zelensky, and he nearly got to the quarter panel to stay alongside with that battle that they had earlier on in this race, but everyone behind trying to scrap for as much as they can. White is cleared for third. Jordi Lopez on the outside of Femi Olatunbosa making his way back to fourth, and Wilson hounding on the rear bumper of Zelensky for the lead.
This is the battle we've all wanted all year. We've seen these 2 drivers getting the checkered flags. Now they're battling it out for the next one. Just 17 to go, and Steven Wilson is locked in. Bobby Zelensky looks like his little defensive mode right here. Steven Wilson just locked down. It's 2 of the best battling for the win right now.
Seems like it's been a lot of 1-2 for tonight. Also strange, Steven Wilson hasn't led a lap yet. It seems like he's always been on the heels of Zelensky, but never ahead of them when these 2 cars have been running together. Parker White also hasn't led a lap yet tonight. He's in third. Can either of those guys? Could somebody else? Could it be Jordi? Could it be Femi for the first time in this race? Can they find a little bit more when it matters the most, or is this race going to be settled like so many have between Zelensky and Wilson? 14 laps left on the scoring to pile on this time by Wilson trying to hang even. That time through 3 and 4, I'd say benefit to Zelensky, trying to open it up just a bit.
And we know Zelensky is not an easy pass, so he's not going to make this at all any easy for Steven Wilson or Parker White in the rearview mirror. And Zelensky told us after Coronado he really wants to win this Dover race. He feels like he's got the confidence, the speed, and he's always wanted to capture the checkered flag here at the Monster Mile. So he's going to make it even harder on Wilson, and he is pulling away nicely off turn 4. Great set of corners for Bobby Z.
Bobby Z pulling away. Steven Wilson not going anywhere. Parker White wants to make his voice known. What they're all worried about is this battle we're seeing on the bottom of your screen. It is intense battling back there for 8th. Tucker Minter making his way up. Zach Novak in that 8 car. Some really good cars and talent out here. Christopher Hill having an excellent run after a few rough weeks. Good battling back here, but no cautions. That's what the front of the field wants right now.
That's what Zelensky certainly wants. Maybe Wilson would love to get back closer to the bumper. That gap growing in favor of the 22. It's about 3.5 tenths of a second, and that's why it's more of a battle for second than it is a battle for the lead. If you're Parker White, you know the caution could come at any point. You'd much rather restart on the front row than row 2. So I think a sense of urgency for the 95 that if he's got the speed to do so, try to get around Wilson now, all the way to the bumper, looking to the outside, trying to wind it up on the Spire car in front of him. And Steven Wilson just running his lane. That's right in the middle of the groove, and it's given the 95 limited options. Unless he wants to try to go low, he'll finally dive to the inside now. Caution right on cue, and it's a spinner in 1. Blaze Crawford, the Coca-Cola machine, around and damaged as his night had been right there in the number 20 spot is where he was. He had been there for a lot in this one. You can see the look on his face, and now this will bring us to the doorstep of being at the kind of edge of being able to finish this thing in regulation.
Look at that right front of the Coca-Cola Chevrolet. That is bent all out of shape. So that steering is definitely knocked off. But with the way he hit that outside wall, pretty much square on the wheel. But you were spot on, Evan, about Parker White and Steven Wilson. You know where your placement's going to be on the restart if you're anticipating double file. And outside is the best place to be. You do not want to be stacked so far on the bottom that you're going to let even 3rd, 4th, 5th place, all those drivers kind of get around you and start making it harder on you for passing on position. So I was really trying to push hard on Wilson and then try to re-up on Bobby Z, try to rekindle that battle from Coronado they had last Tuesday as the second look. It's another faintly clear but also not clear at the same time moment. Crawford just sneaks in front of Dylan Basin, who continues to have the nose there. Crawford tries to clear, and there's the contact.
And you know you're probably clear center of the corner, coming off the corner, but right when you got to make that decision to go up is when that run's going to come from the top with the banking. And here's the chaos up the road. Nice dive to the inside. Not a lot of room at that pit road wall there, but good wreck avoidance by one of the Letard Esports machines to be able to squeeze on through on the inside. So they both had a close call in this one. I know that's really not how you want your night to go. You'd prefer just no drama, no excitement, be up front, lead by 1.5 miles, but at least both of their cars have gotten through with the Urshak having the big moment from a little bit earlier on. But this is likely going to be our last attempt to be able to get this thing in regulation. Restart probably coming somewhere around 6 laps to go, 5 laps to go. Any yellow from that point on would not likely be able to get us a restart before the scheduled distance. So because of that, obviously we'd start to talk about overtime, and we've talked about some interesting sim setups. This almost looks like a sound stage.
Or a patio for Dylan Basin, enjoying the... It's got to be hot and humid out in Florida. You can't be outside. You don't want to race outside in Florida this time of year, do you?
I feel like if we pan the camera, we'll just see a bunch of, lights and cameras, and he's on a sound stage. It looks like an escape room almost, like he's on the porch of a cabin.
Dylan Basin karaoke session right now. I mean, why not? I mean, this is giving the vibe of karaoke for Dylan Basin.
We're running out of laps. And I just want to point out, I mean, the masterful restarts that we have seen from Bobby Zelensky, and what I mean by that is he has not done the same thing twice yet in terms of strategy, whether it be that brake check we saw or then Steven Wilson almost anticipating the brake check and Bobby Zalenski just taking off. And then he's done it the same in these 2-wide restarts. So I'm excited to see what he can pull off here because it's been a game of cat and mouse and everyone's having to guess what he's about to do.
So here we go. 6 laps to go. If the caution is really fast, maybe to get it done in regulation still. 6 laps to go. Zalenski, Wilson on the front row trying to seal the deal in Dover. Green flag flies nose to nose down to turn 1.
Great restart by not only Wilson, but the rest of the field. Lopez and White got a sense of what Zalenski was doing in the restart box and was able to at least match the pace so they didn't get gapped coming at the exit of turn 2. But now again reignites the battle between Zalenski and Wilson, banging up the racetrack, leaning on each other off turn 4. Zalenski knows he's back out in front, but for how long? They lean on each other again, touching back to turn 1, nosing to the inside is Wilson for the lead.
Oh, and he'll get into him. Contact for the leaders. Wilson turns Zalenski in front of the field. Third time they had gotten together. It'll end in tears for both of the dominant cars after they got too physical and took each other out.
Wow. The 2 best in the series, the 2 winners in 2026 now at odds, battling for the lead for yet another win. We have a brewing rivalry between 2 of the best in the eNASCAR Coke Series, guys.
It had been pretty cordial to that point, right? They were both the best cars tonight, whole season long, and then kind of out of nowhere, like a flash fire, just flared up, and we'll wind it back and take a look. Of course, starting side by side on the front row, it starts with the good restart for both of them, right? I mean, Wilson, if he doesn't get going, Zalenski's clear early like he had done on a previous restart, then it's not much of a challenge. Instead, Wilson, I think, actually had the advantage, Kenneth, going to 1, and I think that forced Bobby to be a little bit more aggressive. He starts it. I mean, Zalenski's the one who starts it by pushing in turn number 3.
There's a look. Look at this dive in the corner by Zalenski. He knows he can try to muscle Wilson out of the way, but it's not enough. Wilson hangs tight on the quarter panel, and that's important with these cars. You want to side draft as much as you can. And there might have been a bit of assist there to rotate for Steven Wilson. He makes the move on the bottom, but it was help on rotation from Parker White, who gave him a shot mid-apex. And I don't know if Wilson was just trying to hang on the quarter panel still or thought he could maybe stay right behind him and they clear off turn 2. But regardless, there is that contact. And again, there is nowhere to go. It's almost like a Peloton race where the biker in front, if they crash, everybody behind them is going to find their way in it. There's Tucker Minter, nowhere to go. Femi Olonson-Bolson, the teammate of Wilson, also nowhere to go. And a tough situation as well for Jordi Lopez. A strong car through tonight. He has some heavy front-end nose damage. He's going to stay out to try and keep the track position for now. That car is going to be hampered significantly once we go back green.
This is the type of incident in racing you get with 5 to go. Any other point in this race, Bobby Zalenski's not that far down from the wall. Steven Wilson's maybe a little more forgiving. Man, the contact that happened there, it's certainly not intentional, but that is hard racing when you get into the left rear like that of another car, the car in front of you.
And again, it started with Zalenski trying to move Wilson up out of the way in 3 and 4. Couldn't clear him. Wilson then comes back on the straightaway, gets into Bobby, but it hurts the 77 more. Kicked him back, and there was that contact from Parker White, and it's a bit of a convoluted, example or analogy, but I think of like goalie interference in hockey, right? If the defender got the goalie, did he have time to reset before the goal? So in this case, Parker White gets into Wilson. Does that have any effect on that car getting off the corner? I don't know. I think he had enough time to reset, right? He got hit into the corner, looked like he kind of got it stabilized, and then just could not keep it low enough for where the 22 was running to his outside. So now, track position and the moment of caution is going to keep Steven Wilson as your leader as we are headed into attempt number 1 at eNASCAR overtime. Wilson will still be in control. What can he do with the damage that's on that car, if any? Jordi Lopez is to the outside in second, and it's Olonton-Bolson, Duval, and Minter the rest of the cars inside of the top 5. Looking for 2 laps to go in Dover. Green flag in the air for eNASCAR overtime, and the 77 is clear.
Once again, going to come down to the outside lane and how they respond, but Lopez got slow to the gun there. 3 wide, all the way behind. Wyatt Tinsley in the middle. They're crashing off the outside wall, but they keep it straight. We're about 4 wide in the back as Wilson tries to look for the white flag.
The 8 car was sideways. He saved it. Are we going to get to the white flag? Yes, we do. 1 lap to go. This race is official, and it's a 2-horse race. Jordy Lopez watching on from 3rd, but it's Wilson and Olatunbosin. Final set of corners. What can the 7 of Femi Olatunbosin do? Trying to cut under. Wilson holds the top. Contact off the corner, but Steven Wilson, second checkered flag of the season, and your segment 1 winner kicks off segment 2 with another win.
What a battle. To see Femi, his teammate, make the contact in 3 and 4. A true battle to the end between teammates. Heck of a run from one of the best, Steven Wilson.
Leads only 6 in the final tally to the end, but overtime is what made the difference. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. We take a look at tonight's Coca-Cola move of the race. Yeah, it was a lot late, but we got to watch this one again. Watch Connor Yurchak on the bottom. Missed it by a half a foot, sliding on the apron. It was a big save. I think that's a good analogy for a lot that we saw tonight. A lot of drivers just missed it. That one from Connor, sparks and everything on the left front, putting on a show.
Well, Manuel Neuer and the big leagues are calling for Connor Yurchak. What a save from the 40 car. That's hanging the left front on the apron, rotating it back straight. I mean, that's a hard thing to do with these next-gen cars, is save it when they're under duress like that. And that is definitely move of the race. Connor Yurchak, give him props.
Let's take a look at tonight's full race results. Miles might be going home a little hungry. Not a lot of cars didn't make it to the end of this one. The final margin of victory for Steven Wilson just at about a half of a tenth of a second over his teammate Femi Olatunbosin, who gave it an effort. 2 teammates, 1-2, great result. With Aspire Camp, Tucker Minter comes from 3rd. We'll get a word with those guys in just a minute. Connor Yurchak and Jordy Lopez end up inside of the top 5. Thought Jordy might have had a shot there at the end. Dylan Duval trickles down to P6. Wyatt Tinsley, 32 spots gained for a P7 result in this one. Sean Conklin going to be our highest finishing rookie. He's ahead of Garrett Lowe. And your race winner from here a couple years ago, it was Vicente Salas who comes back for a top 10.
Great recovery for Salas after qualifying deep in 27th place. Michael Cozy Jr. is 11th. Dylan Basin for RFK Racing is in 12th. Another top 15 for the rookie. Dylan Alt is 13th with Christopher Hill in the 14th spot. Nate Stewart wraps up the top 15 tonight. Daniel Falkingham ends up in 16th place with Matthew Morton for TC Esports behind in 17th. Michael Guest, Colin Keister, and Thomas Lloyd wrap up the top 20 from the Monster Mile.
And continuing through, Kenny Brady ends up in the number 21 spot in this race. Parker White started up top 6. Looked like he was going to have a great night, and he ends up in the number 22 spot. Same with Seb Marin. Started as the best rookie, 3rd on the grid. He settles for a 25th place result. Zach Novak as well. A lot of drivers back here, their nights started a lot better than they ended.
Bobby Zelensky there leading a bulk of the race, getting turned around late in the going, ends up 31st. Ryan Doucette 32nd. Donovan Strauss 33rd. And all of the drivers that basically were casualties here and got bitten by the monster. Quentin Warman, one of them, hard into the inside wall. Blaze Crawford with a bit of crashing after as well. Seth the Merchant, the first driver, multiple laps down in 38th with Ryan Luza and Blake Reynolds closing out the field from Dover. Took a lot of attrition to get to the end, and that's the field.
Looked at the bottom at your Coca-Cola full race results. Alan, let's talk with, we'll call it the winning team. Great.
Yeah, 1-2 for Spire Motorsports tonight. We're going to talk
Steven Wilson, Femi Olatunbosin with some fireworks at the end.
Yeah, good stuff from Team Spire Motorsports 1-2. Femi, we're going to start with you because you started this race on pit road and got to the final corner and nearly made contact for the win. How'd you do it tonight, man?
Just for good pace all throughout the race. Thanks to Jarrett Liebert and everybody at NFR. We worked really well together. We had a really good week of practice and got a bit lucky for the first time in a while. So just a good combination to get the Spire Motorsports a 1-2.
I got to ask, if that's anyone other than your teammate on the final lap, do you do anything different for the victory in Dover?
I mean, if they missed the corner, but Steven, that's why he's my teammate. He's the best. He overdrove the corner and still, we came off the corner side by side. But I think if it's anybody else, I mean, I'm not gonna do anything different. I mean, he slid up the racetrack without me having to hit him. I'm not gonna go in there and wreck somebody. So, teammate or not, I wasn't gonna. I feel like the end result would have been the same. Maybe I would have won if it was somebody else. I'd have put him in the wall harder.
Well, hey, second place good tonight. If you have to finish second to anybody, it's going to be your teammate, one of the best, Steven Wilson. Steven, let's talk about the move.
I'm mad that it's Steven, by the way. I'm really mad that of all people, I'm mad that it's him.
Well, congratulations. You can get him next time when we're in Iowa. Femi, great run, especially from pit road. Good stuff tonight. I'll change the focus now to Steven. Victory lane once again, but what changed it all was that move, that hard racing with Bobby. Tell us about that incident. We saw you get a shove from behind. Did that factor in? How do you describe the contact?
Yeah, it was just a lot going on, to be honest. Heart rate's going, adrenaline's up, and these racetracks, just how they go. It's like we go long enough. We had so much grip there on that long green run, and we could move around. But once all those yellows came out and everyone kept wrecking, it just rubber gets picked up, and it's like if you watch a World of Outlaws feature and it gets rubbered down. That's pretty much what we're dealing with. It's just you got to be on the bottom for the first couple laps, and then it's just all about clean air. So, yeah, I was racing really hard. Obviously, he used me up there a couple times, and then coming out of 2, that's been a trouble point this whole race for everyone. It's just out of 2 for whatever reason. It might have been wind or something, I don't know, but everyone was sliding out of 2. He was having it really bad too. So once I got that push, I was kind of just drifting through the whole corner, and then I got to the exit and just slid a little more and obviously wrecked him and however many other cars. But I want to be positive more so. Just, Spire 1-2, Femi, for starting from pit road. Happy to get our second win of the season. Just want to give a shout out to everyone at Spire watching, family, friends. It's just really cool to get this number 77 back in victory lane.
Bobby Zielinski, you two, you're the only drivers that have won so far this year. Both of you, you're not going anywhere. You expect this competitiveness to keep going as we look forward to Iowa and beyond?
Yeah, for sure, without a doubt. Bobby's really good, and obviously he's been in position to win. 3 out of the 4 races, and probably had, obviously should have or could have won today. So he could have been 3 for 4 like I was last year. So, he's really good and he's getting better. Goose is sitting in bed over here. He's upset at me, yelling at me. He's about ready to come out. He knows we're done racing, I guess. So, but our rivalry, it'll never end. We're next to each other in the all-time win list, and he's really good and only getting better, I feel like. So, especially on these ovals. So, I don't think this will end anytime soon. And obviously, I've had beef over the years. It's I guess it's just a thing with the car number.
Two of the best going at it. Steven Wilson gets the victory tonight. Congrats once again, my friend.
And now joined by Connor Euroshak with possibly the save of the year so far on the inside of the apron, but recovering to finish well in the top 5. Connor, tell us about this race. I mean, this was all about attrition late, tire saving, lots of clean air, looking for it all. How would you describe the night from the Monster?
I don't even know what to say about this one for myself. Crazy night. Two actually beautiful wreck avoidances, and I was really bummed out at my Q effort. I had a lap time good enough for pole, but just barely tapped the wall to a 2 and invalidated, so I had to start last. So especially all places to start last, Dover's going to be a tough one with how dirty air is and then how gripped up the track gets. So just incredibly fortunate to miss some wrecks and have a good last restart to get a great finish.
Top 10's now in 3 of the first 4 races. I know Coronado was a tough situation for you very early on. So how big of a momentous breakthrough is this one for you to just keep that momentum and points rallying through, eventually still looking for that first career win?
Yeah, I feel great about our speed this year. Obviously, I did my typical 1-point street course outing, so that obviously sucks. But I mean, we've had a genuine shot to contend in all 3 of these races. It's just the little things. You need to do everything so perfect to win these races, and like hitting the wall in qualifying, starting 40th. I mean, it's going to be hard to break through. So it's just, I'm very confident I have the speed to win one of these. It's just about putting it all together on the right day.
And it all worked out for you at the end here at Dover. Did you know that you are the Coca-Cola move of the race tonight?
I did not know it, but I believe it.
All
And
right.
I'm happy that the broadcast saw that, because I mean, I knew Quentin. I saw him go head on to my left, and I'm like, oh, he's got to be for sure coming back right. So I already started aiming left, and then I got on the transition and was able to hold it. So, I mean, obviously I haven't got to watch it back, but I'm looking forward to it because it really changed the whole trajectory of my race.
You know what? We're going to put you in a highlight reel for 2026 when the season's all done. But, Connor, great finish tonight. Congratulations on the top 5, and we'll see you at the field at Iowa in a few weeks.
Thank you guys very much. Have a good night.
Appreciate those guys for giving us their insight. As always, let's take a look at where we stand. Now, these are your segment 2 points. So there's going to be 2 storylines to follow over these next 3 weeks. It's your segment points, which leads to the 5 playoff bonus points and the $3,000 prize. And then there is the overall, the cumulative points for all 4 races that have been completed. So for the segment 2 points, it's just your results from tonight. Steven Wilson gets the win. He nets the 40 points, and he is off and away in pursuit of a second segment victory of the season after already securing the first one. Now we look at your playoff standings. These are your cumulative standings, ranked by wins and then points. Bobby got his second a week ago. Steven got his second tonight. They are well and safe in their fight for the championship. But behind them, it still leaves 8 positions open on points. Salas has been running good. Minter gets another good result tonight. But I look to the bubble. That's my favorite spot. Duval, Falkingham, Conklin, and Olatunbosin. Big pickup in this one as he jumps to P12.
Yeah, there was a tie for the cut line with Falkingham right at that mark in 10th entering tonight's race, and he is the exact same place once we get out of there. Sean Conklin, though, with a great set of races, the rookie trying to point his way into the playoffs, and Steven Wilson having that bit of an edge. Remember, he's got 2 wins, but he has the 5 playoff bonus points, Alan, for the segment win, so that helps him out.
And then what happened to Bobby tonight gives him an even bigger advantage, potentially, if Steven Wilson can get the segment 2 victory and Bobby cannot, given what just happened. Let's look at the next race, the lovely Des Moines, Iowa Speedway. Some call it a short track. Races like a short track, high speed. Nice place out there, July 7th.
Hey, we had a little bit of back-to-back. We get a week off before we go out there and do it again, and it'll be our first heat race of the season. So we saw the sprint race format in San Diego a week ago. We'll see heat racing, 2 30-lappers, and then a 90-lap feature where the points will pay out. Steven Wilson undefeated at the Iowa Speedway. He's got 2 on the year already. Does he go for number 3 in a couple of weeks' time? You're going to have to join us to find out. Until then, though, that is it for us here tonight from Dover. On behalf of our entire team at NASCAR, iRacing, for everybody working remotely on tonight's broadcast, for the folks at the iRacing HQ, and for your broadcast team tonight, for Ryan Vargas, Joshua Lee, Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, myself, Evan Pasoko, want to say thanks for tuning in as segment number 2 is off and away with a bang. Again, we're back in 2 weeks' time on Tuesday, July 7th from iRacing's virtual Iowa Speedway. That race and every race of the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Until then, good night from Dover, Delaware, and congratulations to a 2-time race winner this season, Steven Wilson.